Hello! Welcome back to another stream. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully well. Hopefully well. It is Saturday, which, you know, helps. Saturdays are generally okay, unless you have to work on Saturdays, in which case, I apologize. So how's everybody doing? I see we've got Dave. Dave's Vintage Apple Tech is here. Eric's Edge, so Eric is here. Hello. Welcome. Also, 1-Bit Fever Dreams. Hello, hello. Welcome. Clarjon OnePlus. Welcome to the stream. How's everybody doing? Hopefully everybody's doing okay. Garth Beagle's here. Welcome. Hey Garth, how's it going? Alright. I mean, I guess we can just, get started. I imagine it's not going to be a huge number of folks here today, because, the Mac Plus, I don't know. It seems like nobody cares about Mac Plus, but, I care. I care about it. Let's see if I can get this to switch without screwing up my video. Nope. There we go. Okay. I care about this Mac Plus because this is a machine that I have actually owned for 23 years. Unfortunately, 20 of those years were spent in my parents' attic. I didn't even realize it was there. I thought it was just gone, lost. Somehow I misplaced it. Honestly, it being there for that long was probably what saved it, because I'd made 2 cross-country moves in the last 10 years, and I have ended up losing equipment, shedding stuff on each one of those moves. I'm working through not doing it this time. I've got another big move coming up in a couple of years. I'm working on not shedding anything this time, unless it's on purpose. So this probably actually saved it. Being in my parents' attic for whoever knows how long, I think about 20 years, probably saved its life. And because of that, I kind of want to hot rod it. I kind of want to turn this into the ultimate Mac Plus. Just because I think it'd be fun, you know? There's kind of a renaissance around these old black and white Macs these days. There were a lot of accelerators available for them back in the day. Of course, the accelerators were ridiculously expensive, so the only people who bought them were people who, you know, had purchased one of these, had the money to upgrade it, didn't really want to spend the money on a newer Mac, just wanted to make this one faster. But there's some folks doing re-implementations of some of those accelerators, and that's the really interesting part, is I would like to get my hands on one of the reimagined, re-implemented Plus accelerators. Because, sure, the SE and the SE30 are cool computers, and having an internal slot on a computer like this is kind of amazing. And the stuff that people have figured out how to do with the internal slot on an SE or SE30, really impressive stuff. Really impressive stuff. I think Steve over at Mac84 has built an SE30 now that actually outputs grayscale video to its internal monitor, to its internal CRT, which is just mind-boggling, to take a machine that was 1-bit, just black and white, and make it run grayscale, as if it were a full-color machine. That's pretty cool. But, there were a bunch of interesting, you know, weird expansion choices back when this was the only option, right? When you had only the all-in-one Macs. People figured out how to get, displays to run through the SCSI port. You know, the very early Macs, Apple produced hard drives for the floppy connector and stuff like that. There's ways to expand these things, and of course, these days, the best way is with one of these. A blue SCSI. This particular blue SCSI was donated to the channel quite graciously by Ron of Ron's Computer Videos. He's a very cool guy. Go check out his videos. He makes some weird shorts once in a while, but he does do the retro computer thing. And this, I've already prepped this with an image from Basilisk 2. It's a 40 megabyte hard drive image. It's got System 6 on it. Or does it have System 7? I don't remember. It should be bootable. I built it specifically for a Mac Plus. It's got some games and stuff on there as well. So if the mod is successful and the image is not corrupt, fingers crossed, we should be able to boot this thing at the end. I also have, of course, I have my soldering iron. This is a clone of the TS100, which is, I believe, itself a clone of the Pine Sill. So this is a clone of the clone, but it takes the same kind of plug-in tips. They've got their own built-in ceramic heaters. These are pretty cool because they heat up in about 20 seconds. And they just run off DC power. You could theoretically run this thing off of like a lithium-ion battery out and go weld out or go solder out in the field. It's a ridiculous machine, but I love it because it takes up like almost no space. I've got this little 3D printed holder for it and a couple of the tips. So I've got Blue SCSI, my Mac Plus. This Plus also, like the first thing I did when I got it 23 years ago, was upgraded to 4 megs. So this has the 4 megs of RAM upgrade on it already. Got my soldering iron. I've got the diodes, because you can't buy a single diode, so I got a 10-pack. These are NTE507 silicon fast recovery diodes. I don't think it really matters what diode you put in the machine. It's a diode. There's a spot marked on the board for the diode. You just put it there, and it should be fine. Fingers crossed, it should be fine. And then we might need to pull the old pads off. I've got a little manual solder pump for that. But I also have some braid floating around here somewhere that I can grab if that's going to end up working better. My hope is I can just heat up the pad and just stick the diode in and just be done with it. But we'll see. I'm not very good at soldering, as demonstrated when I reflowed the solder joints on the analog board on this. It took me all day to do. And it basically gave me a panic attack. It was successful in the end, so I guess I'm not that bad at soldering, but it's not something I say it's not something I should enjoy, but really I should have started with a computer I didn't care about as my first project, rather than something that is deeply meaningful to me and I was extremely worried about destroying every single time I reflowed a joint. Alright, anyway, can you tell when I'm nervous? I talk a lot. Let's see how chat is doing. How is chat? Walter Cardozo, hello! Eric says he's exhausted, getting ready to go glamping. Well, congratulations, and focus on the glam part of the glamping, not the camp part of the camping. Garth says I've got a 2GS out in a retrobite bath, so a little sun here. Oh, so little sun here lately. June gloom. Yeah, that's right. You're out in California. I've got a couple of friends still out there who have said that June gloom's been real bad this year. It's been like January, February, March, April, May, June gloom. No thanks. I don't miss that part. The 300 days of sunshine here in Albuquerque. It's been great. Thank you, Garth. Yes, this Mac Plus is in really great shape. You can see here in the battery compartment, no corrosion. I pulled the battery out of this thing when I stored it. I was smart for once. I pulled the battery out of this when I stored it, so there's no battery in it. Hasn't been a battery in it for 20 years. There's zero corrosion on this thing whatsoever. It's in really good shape. One bit says, owned a Mac Plus for about 19 platinum, this is a platinum, and another for about 37 years pre-platinum. So you had a beige. Nice. Yeah, no, this is a platinum. It is a little yellow for a platinum. It looks really good on camera, I'll say that. Like, the camera is definitely making this look more platinum than it actually is in real life. But this is supposed to be a platinum. Just me looking here at what it looks like in real life versus the camera. Like, it should look like that on camera. It does not look like that in real life. I would at some point like to retrobrite this a little bit, just to get it back, a little bit more back towards the platinum color that it's supposed to be. But yeah, I cleaned it up last time I worked on it. It's in pretty good shape. I've got a little bit more gunk I need to clean off of it in a few places, but yeah, no, it's in really good shape. One bit says, personally, I am too afraid to accelerate my pluses due to sound becoming desynced or garbled due to the faster clock speed. That's not even something I knew could happen. That's very weird. I guess it makes sense. Like I've read up about these early Macs and their sound chip, because it's not a normal sound chip. It's based on, I thought it was based on the scan lines. Like the clock rate of the sound chip is based on the scan lines on the display and stuff like that. Like you can You can get the sound chip to do some really interesting things. Like it has like 4 discrete voices. If you're willing to like bit bang it every scan line and like send new data to it every scan line, you can get 4 voices out of it. And they're four PCM voices, which is pretty advanced for the time, but it's definitely an 80s sound chip. It's very limited in what it can actually do. And that's interesting, though. I didn't realize that speeding up the plus could make it desync the sound. That's interesting. What else we got? Yeah, Dave says looks like new. Yeah, it's not. It's definitely not. It's weathered. It's definitely weathered. The camera makes it look much better than it actually is. Much better than it actually is. What else we got? Garth's rotating his retro bright. Good luck, Garth. Pickle says Action Retro covers a lot of Mac accelerator boards. Yes, yes he does. A lot of the really rare and really difficult to find ones. The ones that I can only really dream about, usually they're made out of purple PCBs. There is a project going on to recreate one of the plus accelerator boards that clips on to the 68000 with a vampire clip. I would like to back that. Whoever is building that, I would like to back that and make it happen, because that would be really freaking cool. Also, Does Not Compute likes to cover weird Mac accelerators. I think he just did one recently for an SE, I think, which is pretty cool. The SE is really, like, if I were to have one compact Mac, the SE would probably make the most sense to have, but like this, again, this is something I've owned for a long time, and it's sentimental to me. I don't think I'll ever get rid of it, and I would like to like do as many weird things to it as I can without completely destroying it. Ron also sent me, along with this Blue SCSI, Ron also sent me his TTL board, where you can intercept the TTL signals that go to the video board, I think, something like that, and then you can split them and then route them out somewhere. So like I want to put like a little VGA connector, a little D sub 15 in here, remove the battery door, remote the battery, and then make this panel. I have the panel here somewhere. 3D printer replacement panel for this that has a cutout for a D sub connector, and just route basically just TTL, essentially CGA video out the back of it, and plug it into an upscaler or something. So I think it'd be pretty cool. I'd be able to get like direct capture of a Mac Plus. It'd be kind of a fun thing. What else? What else? Eric's Edge says I'll be roughing it with just a PowerBook 520C and 180C. Oh, that's real rough. I have a 520C, but it doesn't work. I don't have a power supply for it, and they're kind of impossible to find. I don't even know if it works. I have no idea. I bought it untested on eBay for like $25. I have no idea if it works. Or if like the display has had vinegar syndrome or whatever, because it's a passive matrix display. Garth's SE or SE30 are great. Yep, I mean, I would... The Mac that I grew up with, so I grew up... My household has always been, like, my parents' house has always been a Mac or Apple household. So we started out with, like, an Apple II and a 2E. I think it was a 2E enhanced, because I remember the little light bulb in the corner of the keyboard. I don't remember if that was ours or if that was my grandmother's, because she also was a big Mac head. But we had the Apple II, and then we got a 2GS, which my father graciously gave me. It's in the other room. It is mostly complete now that I've gotten a couple of mice from Exodium Retro. It is a complete system. It needs a heavy amount of retro brighting, though. It's very yellow. It's very yellow. I have not tried powering it on either. I have no idea what the state of the REFAs are in it. REFA in this has been removed when I reflowed the analog board. I removed the REFA cap out of this. I actually have it. I have a souvenir. I keep it right here on my desk. There's its REFA cap. Removed. No trouble caused. No smell released. Put that back there. Keep it as a souvenir. As a reminder, if it misbehaves, it goes back in. Alright, so let's crack this thing open and start getting to work. I know this isn't this mod doesn't take a long time, but, you know, I try not to run my streams too long, because I know y'all have lives to live. You don't want to watch me screw around with old computers, I'm sure. If I can get this torque wrench into the screw head. I knew I should have opened this before I started the stream. I'm like, nobody's gonna want to watch me struggle with this. Okay, let's get the flexi connector out of here. It's not helping anything. It's not helping anything. The sad part is that this driver, like, if I were smart, I'd have a Mac cracker, and I'd have a nice long screwdriver with the Torx bit on the end, just for opening this machine, because, like, I own it, I may as well have the tools to open it. But I'm not smart. Despite what anyone may have said on Big Bad Biologist's stream earlier today, where everyone was going crazy for my 3D printed test benches. I'm not actually that smart. I just play smart on YouTube. Uh-oh. The worst part is that this connector here, is not magnetized. So getting it to stay together when I stick it in here, pretty much impossible. There we go. Garth says, I bet you could 3D print a Mac cracker. Yeah, I was thinking about it. I'm like, you know, I should 3D print one of those. As I was thinking, like, 10 minutes before I started my stream, like, yeah, it's probably not enough time to 3D print it. Don't really want to have this thing running while I'm 3D print, or, you know, while I'm streaming. It's in good shape now, but it's not quiet. I don't know if I told y'all, but this test bench back here, this is my most recent print of a test bench, and this one took 6.5 hours to print. 6.5 hours. I remember when I launched these things, and I was like, oh, I printed this one in just under 9 hours, and it was ridiculous. And like that one printed in 6.5 hours, basically with no problems. So yeah, I've gotten my printer up to a fairly high speed at this point. But it's not, the downside to having a fast printer is it's not a quiet printer. It's very much not a quiet printer. Glarajan says, 3D print time machine so you can get it started before the stream. Yeah, I'll do that. Get right on that. While I'm at it, I'll 3D print an LQB drive. That way I can visit neighboring star systems as well. May as well use that time travel for something. Here we go. That went on the floor. I hope the other ones are completely out, because it's lost to the edges now. I don't think they are. I'll have to go crawl on the floor. No, maybe not. There it is. Okay. This one is magnetized, so hopefully I can get these out of here. Hey, hey, look at that. So in lieu of a Mac cracker, I'll be using the role of Mac cracker tonight will be played by butter knife. Don't look. Come on. Come on. Ooh. Don't know what that is, but I have too much stuff. Too much stuff. I'm right in the middle. Still, I think this is the third stream where I've said I'm in the middle of the $100 GPU testing. I am still in the middle of the $100 GPU testing. Because I found some weird results when I was doing my testing. Especially when I started testing the cards in VR. Things started to not add up quite so well. It's very strange. So what I'm going to end up doing with that video is I'm going to split it up into a couple of parts. I'm going to just cover because I know some people aren't going to care about the VR results, and some people are not going to care about the video encoding results. So I'm going to split it up into 3 pieces. Just flat games and just dropping stuff all over. Dropping stuff all over. The butter knife is not working out. But yeah, I'll split it up into 3 parts: flat games, VR games, and video encoding, because I think there's more than 0 people who care about video encoding performance these days. I mean, I've heard a lot of people say that, flat out, the reason they won't buy an AMD graphics card is because of the video encoding performance, and so I decided to do some real testing with it. What is the video encoding performance of AMD cards? And it's actually not bad. The problem is, not every app supports it. I think I've talked about this before on a stream. But relatedly, turns out, oop, there we go. We are getting somewhere. We are getting somewhere. Got 1 latch on this side left. Relatedly, if you have a VR headset that uses cameras for inside-out tracking, hey, that is an open Mac. I believe, I'm pretty sure, I don't have substantial evidence for this other than what I've been experiencing in my testing, but I'm pretty sure your video encoding performance is important for those cameras. So, there's some nuances going on there. Another fiber. So there are some nuances going on there. Let's get this shield off. Come on, there we go. We are going to be dealing exclusively with the logic board today, not the analog board, not the CRT. Thankfully. CRTs give me the willies. They're great, I love them. As soon as I have to open something up with the CRT, I'm like, no thanks. Alright, so we've got floppy cable, comes out of here, and then the main power cable. Come on. Oh, it's a tight fit. That should be it. I've got those screws out already. This should just slide out. Yes, indeed. It sure does. There it is. There's a Mac Plus logic board. I love old computers. Look at all the chips! I love them. Ah, good stuff. Alright, this needs to go on the floor. Come on, you. Ooh, be gentle. There we go. Okay, so the thing we're looking for, right, is right here. Come on, focus. You can do this. I know you can, camera. There you go. Right there, see it? Sorry, my hand's so shaky. But there. There's even a little outline for it. That's where the diode goes. Why didn't they put it in there at the factory? Who knows? Probably a reason. Probably something to do with the SCSI not being completely finalized by the time this thing shipped. Something like that. So, since of course you can't just buy one diode, you have to buy a 10-pack. I have 10 diodes. One diode. And that should be it. It should be it. At some point I do want to try Big Bad Biologist's internal SCSI mod for this thing, which is just a really cool mod. What a terrific mod. That's going to be a while once I get enough confidence in my soldering skills to do the internal SCSI mod, because that ends up like basically clipping onto the... Or no, it doesn't clip on it. It actually goes into... You desolder this and you solder it into the board, and then it gives you a SCSI connector on the inside of the machine. It's a very cool mod. You've got to relocate a couple of these axial capacitors. Basically just put them on the back of the board instead. And that's about it. I say about it. It's a ton of soldering. So it's definitely something I'm going to wait to do when I'm a little more familiar, more comfortable with doing soldering. But yeah, there's my 4 megs of RAM. This is actually RAM from... This is funny. This is RAM from my 486. From back when I had my 486, because it was a super old board that had 8 30-pin slots, so I had a blistering 8 megabytes of RAM in that machine. By the time I got this machine in this Mac Plus in 1999, 2000, I didn't have my 486 anymore. I had tragically sold it, along with its Gravis ultrasound, because I was an idiot. Like I said, I'm not actually smart. I just play smart on YouTube. But I did actually keep some of its RAM, and I moved it over to this machine, which was one of the smarter things I've ever done. Let's see what chat is saying. It has been a bit. What is going on, chat? Garth asks, do you know if anyone's printed one of your test benches on a Bamboo Labs X1, and if so, how fast or good is it? I don't know, actually. I don't know if anyone's printed one on a Bamboo Lab. I don't see why it wouldn't work. I have loaded, because one of the things I wanted to do with this version of the test bench, this generation of the test bench, is to make sure it's printable on a wide range of printers. So like that's part of the reason it looks the way it does. I guess I'll show you. Weird old sound cards, extra goodies. So part of the reason that the test bench looks the way it does, especially like the floor plan of it here, the reason it looks this way is it's meant to be printed on pretty much any printer you want to print it on, including Delta printers. So as long as you have, I think, 240 millimeters of diameter, you should be able to print one of these. So like that was one of my major goals with it, and I have loaded it up. Now I haven't loaded it up in Bamboo Slicer, but the open source version, Orca Slicer, I have loaded it up in there. And Orca Slicer says, or at least it predicts, that it'll take like 6 hours and 20 minutes to print a test bench. So like my under 3 going at 6.5 hours is pretty close. Pretty close. Although apparently the default with Orca Slicer is to do three loops on the walls instead of 2, and I was printing that one with 2, I think, 2 loops on the walls. But it's designed to be able to print on pretty much anything, and with just 2 wall loops. You don't have to have 3 in there if you don't want to. But yeah, so apparently they'll print it pretty fast from what it sounds like. Eric says, need to go and finish packing. Good luck. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hopefully this should be fine. I guess we'll see. Oh, I should get my soldering aid that I made. What else do we have? Clarjon says chips and dip switches. Yes. Also, fun fact, Clarjon, that is a dip. Dual inline package. So that's a dip chip. Not just a dip switch, it's a dip chip. One bit says I know the sliding out works and I do it too, but if it's extra hard, the official Larry Pina way is to declamp the metal rails and pull it out without sliding. That's interesting. I didn't even know you could do that. Huh. Alright. Yes, one bit, I know. It's the decision I think I kick myself the most about with my retro computers. I sold my Gus. I had a Gravis Ultrasound Max. I had a Gus Max, fully expanded with the whole 1 megabyte of RAM. And I sold it for like $45. I kick myself daily for doing that, and it's part of the reason I really want to build a Pico Gus. I've got my Pico ready to go for it. I just need to get the rest of the parts. I know I've said that on a previous stream too. Like I don't get a lot of stuff done during the week. I'm sorry. I'm very bad at being productive. HC says I will print on a Bamboo once I fix a clog. How do you even fix a clog on a Bamboo Lab? Huh. I have an Artillery Hornet back there that's got a clog in it, and that's basically rendered it useless. Like, I'm gonna have to take the whole hot end assembly apart and like get a lighter and like melt all the plastic out of the hot end, because that's the only way I'm gonna get that clog out of there. It's basically stuck forever, which is super annoying. Ah, Chris Angelis just put BBB's SCSI mod in. Nice. Hopefully it's working well. It looks really slick. Like I watched Big Bad Biologist install it on his stream on his Mac Plus, and it looks really slick. I really want it. I'm also terrified at the amount of soldering it's going to require. Pickle says I printed a Baby AT version of my test bench on an Ender 3 V2. Just had to make sure I oriented it the right way as the handle could hit my rear-mounted spool. Huh. That's not something I even thought about, but yeah, I guess. Hopefully it went well, and congrats. Good luck on using it. HC says the nozzle clogs constantly. I have to fix them all the time. Wow, 2 weeks. Wow, that seems like a lot. Like, that's that clogged artillery is my first clog. Like my first clog that wasn't my fault. Like I picked up a clone all metal hot end for my Ender 3. It was a clone of the Micro Swiss version. Clone hot ends, especially clone all metal hot ends, not great things. But I ended up running a print. I was doing some test prints, and I ran a retract that was too long. Like, way too long. Like, it retracted, like, 20 millimeters. And it pulled it right up into the cold zone and clogged instantly. So that was my fault. It was another one that was going to take a lighter to fix, and I just didn't feel like fixing it. My 6.5 hour, printing that on in 6.5 hours, that's still got the stock Creality V8 hot end. That's the part that blows my mind. Is I've been trying to push the Creality hot end as far as it'll go, and it'll go pretty far. It turns out. I am using a 0.6 millimeter nozzle, so that is helping. Everything's broken. Garage says I used a blowtorch to declog my Ender when I had a clogged nozzle. Yeah, that's pretty much all you have to do. I say all, but like that's what you have to do is get out a heat source. Because the heat sinks on these hot ends are actually pretty effective at dissipating the heat from the heater block. So like when you get a clog up into the cold zone, nothing's going to get rid of it except an external heat source. Like you got to like run some heat on the heat sink or the heat break, whatever part of it has the clog in it, to get that plastic to melt and get it out of there. Pickle says, still sending a Pygus board your way. Well, what? You are? Thank you. It just says I also print nonstop when not clogged. It gets used a lot. Yeah, I've put a lot of hours on my Ender 3. Like it's not a it's far from stock. I've put a lot of time into the thing printing. Let me show you all. Like this thing's, that's the Ender 3 over there with the purple heatsink on it. It's pretty far from stock. It's got a big TreeTech mainboard in it. It's all silent stepper drivers. I've done the Noctua fan mods. It's pretty quick. It's not really much of an Ender 3 anymore. It's some kind of Franken printer. Oh, come on. Oh, I made the mistake of moving my camera. Now I can't get it back. Stay. I need to get an actual mount for this thing. Okay, I guess that's as good as it's going to be. Sorry, y'all are going to be a little crooked. Again, fix it with 3D printing. I probably will. We need that. One sec. When I was reflowing this, I realized that it would be really helpful if I had some way of holding the board at an elevated angle to make it easier to work on. So I printed this, just made it in Tinkercad and printed it, and it does indeed hold the board at an elevated angle, making it much nicer to solder on. So I'm going to move this towel, or this paper towel, momentarily out of the way. So, because I put my favorite thing to put on 3D prints, little rubber feetsies. Now that doesn't move. So stick that in the front, that rests on the back. There you go. You've got access to your board. Now in this case, I want access to this, so I don't know if this is actually going to hold this correctly the other direction because there's so many ports on the back. It works fine. Alright, so that is our objective right there. Get my magnifying glass in place. Oh, that's so dirty. How is there so much dust on that? Has it really been that long since I streamed last? Oh, jeez. So much dust. Fire that up. Highly recommend one of these. They're very nice. Maybe I can show you what it looks like. Probably not. Tempting fate by moving my camera this much, but yeah, this provides a pretty decent amount of magnification. Like a surprising amount. So, I think this was like $30 on Amazon. It was not expensive. Oh, stay. Please stay. Please stay. Come on, behave. Tempting fate. Tempting fate. There we go. Alright. Time to melt some stuff. Let's see. If I use... I've got a couple of tip choices. I've got like a ballpoint tip, which might work better because it's a little bit better at actually like getting heat into the traces. See how big it is. That's about the right size. I also have this like needle tip that's quite sharp for doing really small work. It's kind of a pain in the butt though because it just doesn't put that much heat into the traces. Power it up. It's got a little display on it. I love this thing. So let's did I hit the right button? I did. It's heating up. There we go. You can see how fast it heats up. Ta-da! Of course, the end of the tip isn't that hot right now, but within a couple of seconds it gets there. So let's pull a little bit of solder off this board. This thing sucks a lot. It's super bad. There we go. That's clear. I have an electric one of these, but it's basically the same thing. Like it basically is just, it just does that, but when you press a button it auto resets. It's kind of cool. It's definitely, it feels like it's definitely made for scrapping electronics versus like repairing them. I'm gonna have to at some point spend the money on like a nice Hecko like rework station or something. Got some stray solder. Solder stuck in it. This metal shield is bad. It makes it very difficult to get in here. Not even touching the trace, I have no idea. Oh, almost. Yeah, there we go. That's open. Okay. Put this down. Forgot to wet my sponge. I'm so bad. Just completely scatterbrained. Where is my solder? Still over at my solder station. One sec. Okay, my solder's not over at my solder station. Where did I put my solder? The curse of my brain is like, I'll put something somewhere, you know, special to make sure I don't lose it, and then because it's not where I'm expecting it to be, I'll lose it. So there's our diode. Where did I put my solder? What the heck? I hate my brain. I hate it so much. Alright, sorry about this. Solder's not over by my soldering station. It's not here. It's not with my other soldering supplies. Are you kidding me? Brain? Where would I put the solder? Seriously? I wonder if I put it over by the other computers. Unbelievable. Alright, well, I have some lead-free that's really terrible that I can use. How the heck do I lose my roll of solder? What am I even doing? What? Alright, that's all local talk adapters. How the heck? Like, here's the thing. Here's how this is gonna work. Like, I'm gonna get the, like, I've got this lead free here. It's not great. It's pretty terrible. It'll work in a pinch, but as soon as I do this and I button this thing up and everything is hunky dory, I'm gonna find my solder. I'm gonna find my good solder. That is just how this works. Always. Fall on the floor. No. So weird. This is not the first time that soldering supplies have just walked away. It's not weird in itself, but it's weird that it's happened several times. At one point I bought a whole set of soldering supplies for myself, and they just disappeared. I don't know where they went. So then I did it again, and now they have disappeared one more time. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. At least I've got my flux. I've got flux, I've got isopropyl. That's all good. Dave says I need a shot of my green ambrosia drink. You're not wrong. You are not wrong. So one of the cool things about this little, like, programmable soldering iron is when you put it down, it's got an accelerometer in it, so when you put it down, it shuts off. It goes into sleep mode. Then as soon as you pick it up, it heats back up again. Need to widen this hole just a little bit to let this in. Get in there. Come on. That diode's getting very warm. I did not get all of the solder out of that hole, and I'm regretting it greatly. It's not going to go in there. I think it's too big. I think that's why people use different kinds of diodes for this. One sec, let me get my desolderer. That'll get all the solder out. Is this going to be long enough to get over there? Yes, it is. Unplug that. Plug in this. Which is about to get very warm. So this is the desolderer that I ended up getting. It's like 35 bucks on Amazon. But like I said, it's basically an electric version of the manual pump one. That's what it does. Brutally effective. It's definitely meant for, like, harvesting components off of a board. It is not a precision piece of equipment. It did work for the reflowing job that I had to do on the analog board. Worked just fine for that. It also has no, you might notice it has no temperature control, which is the other reason I figure it's just for harvesting components. Gosh, there's like no space in there. It's like no space. What do we got in there? Might be enough room. I'm going to hit it from the other side as well. Come on. Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. Okay, let's see if we can push that diode through there now. See if we have enough space. Nope. I screwed it up. I got a diode with legs that are too large. They can't fit through the holes in the PCB. Crud. I didn't even think of that when I was looking at diodes, because like everybody on the forums will say like, oh, you can just get whatever diode. It doesn't matter. Like they're all diodes. Apparently it does. You gotta get diodes with legs of the right size so that they actually fit through the through holes on the board. Kind of important. Alright, well, trying to think of what I can do to salvage this. Because I only have these 507s. I don't have any other diodes. The downside to the little TS100 is now I want to switch. Oops, that's not what I want to do. I don't want to go into the menu. Yeah, I want to turn this thing off. Because now I need to wait for this thing to cool off. Because this whole tip is now like 250 degrees Celsius. Because I want to change tips. I want to try my my needle tip and see if I can get it in there. Really get it into the through hole on the board. See if I can work all of the solder out of there. Get it completely exhausted of solder. It's always something with me. Get any diode, it's fine. Turns out it's not. There are diodes with different size legs. That's very annoying. Seriously, it is always something. I manage to screw something up with this every single time. These are all the same size legs, yeah. Didn't get a weirdly large copy, now they're all the same. Darn it. I don't know. Even if I change this this needle over, or this soldering tip over to the needle tip, I don't think there's enough room to get this into the board. I don't think the via is large enough. Sure doesn't seem like it is. I mean, I guess I can try. There is still some solder stuck in there, so I'll give it a shot. Just have to wait for my soldering iron to turn off. Well, let's talk to chat while we're waiting for my soldering iron to cool off and I can change tips. How is it going? Garth says this reminds me of a Steve stream. I don't know if that's good or bad. All I know is I am screwing up. Jab says we gotta send you some solder. Don't send me solder, because apparently I'll just lose it. Because this is easily the third or fourth roll of solder I've bought and then lost completely for whatever reason. I don't know why. I don't even know what I would have done with it to lose it. Like, I keep all my solder stuff over there on a shelf, and I don't know why it's not there, but it's not. That's where this was. That's where my extra tips for this are. Why wasn't my solder there too? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. Everything's Broken Garage says, needs more printers to be a Steve stream. Yes. Yes. It's not a Garth stream because there aren't enough power supplies. It's not a Steve stream because there aren't enough printers. Welcome to the stream, Rick. Sorry I missed you come in, but I see you joined while I was trying to find my solder. But yes, 60% of the time, it works every time. You're absolutely correct. Dave says, cut the legs. Actually, that's not a terrible idea. If I just stick it in there and, like, goop on some solder, it should just work. Todd Howard voice. It should just work. That's actually not a bad idea. Thank you, Dave. I think I might try that. Let's, I'm actually gonna not bother with changing my tip at this point. It's cool enough to touch. I might as well change it. Okay. So, we'll slap this one out, stick it in there, change it to the needle tip, and away we go. Turn on. Always pushed the wrong button. There we go. Let's give that a try, actually. Let me flip this over. If I just... There's certainly plenty of room there to just have it hanging off the board by a millimeter or two. That's not a bad idea. Dave, you're genius. See what I said? I'm not actually that smart. Well done, Dave. Thank you for being smart. Alright, get some flux on there. It says it's no clean flux. I don't believe it. Wait, I have a tip for this. Where did my flux tip go? You know what? Screw it. I'm not going to find it, that's for sure. Just get that flux in there. That'll work. It's too much, but it's fine. Doing things on stream, it's a great idea. Especially things I'm bad at, it's a great idea. Alright, get this. lead-free out here. Before I do that, actually, I need to cut these legs. These poor side cutters have seen better days. I mangled the side of that leg, so I'm going to use another one. I have 10 of them. Just get another. Because of course the procedure is you stick it through the hole, and then you solder it in place, and then you clip the ends, but we can skip a step. That works. Skip a step. I want to see this thing boot. It's about right there. And then about right there. Okay. I wish I had a fancy microscope, like all the cool kids have. It'd be really neat to be able to show you this. Oh yeah, and I just need like 3 arms. Let's see if this is even remotely close. Yeah, it's not bad. It's serviceable. A little off, but that should be fine. Alright, I'm trying to tack one of those legs. Don't have enough. Don't have enough cord length on my shiny soldering iron. I gotta get a longer cord for it. So there we go. It's not amazing looking, but that should work as a nice little anchoring solder blob. Try not to melt that connector. Oh, this lead-free is so bad. Come on, melt. There we go. Get that diode in there. Get that diode in there. There we go. Okay, now. No, stay there. I think that is technically connected. I think that is technically connected. Technically is the best kind. Let's see if I can get this better. Plenty of flux in there. Just see if I can get this thing situated a little better. Alright. It's making contact with something. I think it's the solder pad. Let's see. The other pad is here. I have not bent this over quite enough. And I don't have any needle nose pliers, which would be really helpful. How hot is that? Oh, that's good. Cools off fast. Bend that leg in a little bit more. There, that is making contact with the pad. It's backwards, silver stripes going the wrong way. I'm good at this. Crying out loud. And get yourself together, Amber. Get yourself together. How hot is that? Oh, that's very hot. Put it on the board. Flip it around. There we go. Soldering is not my forte. Not my forte at all. Okay. Freshen up some of that solder. Stick it in there. Hey, that is in place. Put a little more solder on the other side and we should be good to test. Oh, I've missed. I've missed that by a country mile. Nope. So I can pull this out here with my tweezers. Welcome to the Tech Ambrosia soldering show. It's bad. That is touching the other via. I think we are good. Put some solder on it. Make that connection official. If this lead-free will melt, come on. Come on. You can do it. There we go. There we go. Good job. Okay, I think that is technically in place. That looks awful. It looks absolutely awful. Let me show you. How far down will you go? You will go this far down. There's the result. That is technically in place. It is not a great soldering job, but it does technically work. I guess we'll see if it works, but it is technically connected to the vias. Alright, let's clean this thing off of here. It's got a whole bunch of extra flux on there, it doesn't need. Get some isopropyl. Let's unplug the desoldering iron because that's super hot. And get my cleaning toothbrush. Come on, get out of there. Get out of there. Don't need you on this board. It says it's no clean flux, but I don't believe it. Okay. Yeah, can you tell I've had absolutely zero EE training in my entire life? Yes? Wow! There we go. Move this out of the way. Apparently that's where I need to keep my solder, because that's where I can find it. Unbelievable. Unplug that. Too many hot things on my desk. It's not actually... Yeah, alright. It's not bridged to anything else on the board. Looks like it's solder actually made it all the way through the vias, so that's good. There we go. And power cable. So is it good luck or bad luck to completely assemble it before you test it? I'm guessing it's bad luck to completely assemble it before you test it. It usually is with PCs. Come on. Slot the cable good in there. There we go. Let's see, if you guys want to see what happens, I need to turn this around this way. And get you a front row seat via a tripod. Grab one of these power cords. That's a long one. Didn't realize I had one that was that long. I thought there were two power cords over there. Power cord. That should work. Alright, I'm going for another drive. Okay. There we go. To see my ultra messy apartment. Okay. Let's get power cable. Power cable plugged in. Plug this into the power strip. No pops so far, but it's a hard power switch. Got the blue SCSI. Plug this into the back. The correct way. There we go. Plugged in. It's a little bit low to the ground because it doesn't have the case on it, so it doesn't have the rubber feet on the bottom. Plug in the keyboard. don't remember if the plus likes to boot without its keyboard, but just in case this actually works, probably want to do something with it. Don't know if my soldering irons are still hot. Put this in the correct way. There we go. That was in. Mouse. That's the mouse on top of the case here. Plug it in. All right. Who's ready? We got, oh, Ron is here. Hello, Ron. Thank you again for the blue SCSI. It's very, very helpful. We're going to see if I can make it work, or if I end up blowing it up or something. You joined at the most exciting time. Ready? There's lights on the blue SCSIs. We have got a light. It did some green blinking as well. It usually takes this thing a little while to start booting. Uh-oh. Oh no! What did I do? Screwed something up. Cool, go me. Let's see if I fried this thing completely, or if this is just, my own bad. Got a System 6 boot. There we go. Okay, the computer's fine. Turn down the brightness on the screen so y'all can see it. So we're booting from floppy. Alright, so we booted up from floppy successfully. So, let's see. Try this blue SCSI one more time. I don't know if there's anything I need to set on this. I just have the jumper set like this. I don't know if that's normal. But I've never used one of these before. I also don't know if my SD card actually works in here. It's really hard to get out. I think that's where the contact pads are. Try this one more time. So for restart, we've got lights on the blue SCSI as soon as I plugged it in. Oh, here we go. That's more like it. It's pinging in the blue SCSI. I can see the green LED. And it's, yes, there's not booting off of it. I know one bit. I have no idea. I just built an image in Basilisk 2, so I don't. This probably doesn't work with the plus. Yeah, if you want to send me that that image, we'll see if we can get it downloaded right here on stream. What do we got? Oh, we're over by 20 minutes, but that's fine. We'll make it work. Alright, so power this off. Get this in my card reader. Yeah, so we're looking... I'm gonna read this? Come on. This card reader is terrible. Go in there. There we go. Yeah, so I'm guessing I just don't have the right kind of image for Mac Plus. I just made a 40 megabyte image in Basilisk 2 and stuck it on the card. It is warm but not hot, so I'm going to move this out of the way. Stay there. Same with this one. Into a nice spot. There we go. Okay, so it looks like it's mostly working. I probably just need the right image. I've got it plugged into my PC here. So we have a log file. What does the log file say? Oh. I put it at, for some reason I put it at SCSI ID 1. Let me see what happens if I put it at SCSI ID 0. See if it boots then. Oh god, I have to try and reach my keyboard. Come on, where's my... feel for my backspace key, where is it? Having a 70% keyboard is not a great idea. There we go. Space 0. Let's see if that works. Yes. 1 bit, please. If you could send over a vetted image, I would love that. Because I'm sure I did something wrong in the image creation. So, that would be wonderful. Put that blue SCSI in. What have we got? It blinked and went to a black screen. The blue SCSI blinked, then the screen went black. I'm sure my issue is the image. Come on. It's pokey. There we go. Plug the blue SCSI in while it boots. Let's see if it recognizes it when we get to the desktop. Probably not. Thank you, Garth. I appreciate it. I'll go look at that in just a moment when I have access to my mouse again. It does not see the blue SCSI on the desktop. I don't know if it would, but we figured that might be a way to do it, but alright. Shut down. Okay. It does, the blue SCSI definitely sees the image. The log shows that it does see the image, so that's good. It's probably the image format, because it's definitely getting power. Like all the LEDs light up. Although of course I could also experiment with like plugging it in with USB. Run. I don't know if we can trust 1-bit's image. I mean, he was awful quick to be helpful. What's his angle? I think his angle is that he's 1-bit fever dreams and he likes to see 1-bit computer to work. I'm pretty sure that's his angle, Ron. Oh, let me pull up Discord here. Una momenta. It's not real language. Garth. Thank you. Grab that. Oh, Eric, thank you. I'll get that to you ASAP. That's super generous, and that would be amazing. I have no idea if that machine works. It would be really cool to see if it did. Probably do that live on the stream. Okay, so we're downloading a Mac Plus image. A nice little 10 megabyte image. I want to see it boot. I want to see it boot off the blue SCSI. Rip-roaring speed. I don't think rip-roaring speed is in this machine's future. I'm pretty sure. As the only image file, sure thing. Got a backup of this over in my Basilisk too, so I'll just toss that. Looks like that has finished downloading. Plunk. Garth says, I got the image from Steve originally, so we can always blame him if it doesn't work. Good thinking. In some circles, this is known as a chain of trust. In this circle, it's known as a chain of blame. Oh no, y'all can see my OBS. Can I make weird things happen with it? No, I can't quite get a Hall of Mirrors effect. Oh, 1-bit, thank you. I will also take a look at that one. We're still copying that out to... That is not a 10 megabyte image. That is a much larger image. Once you decompress it. Mostly empty space, right? That's nice. There'll be plenty of space for games. Eric says, chain of doubt at best. Yeah, that's more like it. 1-bit says he's used the image, I'm assuming the image you sent me, for months on a blue SCSI version 2 on his Mac. Garth says, I'm 100% sure 1-bit Fever Dreams image will be more interesting than mine. Okay, well, we'll try yours real quick just to see if the thing boots. It is on the disk. It is a 1 gigabyte image. Nice. So we'll eject. plop that in the blue SCSI and see what it does. Blue SCSI, stick in there with the little contacts. Alright, gotta push this backwards so that I can hang the blue SCSI off the edge of the desk. It's precarious, so I don't have the case on it. There we go. Okay, 5th time's the charm. Or something like that. Unless it's like there is actually a wrong kind of diode you can put in there, and like I put the wrong kind of diode in it and it just shorts out when it tries to boot. I don't know. Hopefully it's just the image. One bit says Basilisk can't be trusted to start an HDA file for blue SCSI, but it can modify one once it's been made elsewhere, i.e. disk jockey or DD. Looks like it's not the image. Looks like it is probably my plus or my diode. She's not happy. She is not happy. So I don't know. I don't know what that is. I have done nothing to the motherboard other than put this diode on in a dubious manner. So maybe I'll just source a different diode and replace it, put it in correctly. I guess the other option is I can try and USB power this real quick before we end the stream. See if it'll boot at all. Oh, one bit says I have 2 tests for you. Eric says try adding power to the blue SCSI. Yeah, I think that's probably not a bad idea. See where I can get some power. Just needs micro USB, right? Yeah. Where's my... I have a long micro USB cable here somewhere. Could be low voltage, yeah. Why is it blanking out? It shouldn't do that. Just throw out the missing floppy icon. So, if you watch this thing boot off of a floppy drive, Garth, so if I fire it up with no blue SCSI attached, the blue SCSI is not attached to the machine, it powers on, it does the long self-test. I don't know if it's supposed to be this long, or if I have things I need to replace on this motherboard. So far the only thing I've done to it is reflow the analog board, which has allowed it to run longer than 10 minutes at a time. But if you notice, yep, it goes blank, and then it loads the floppy icon. And that's the part where it's crashing on the blue SCSI, is it goes blank, and then nothing happens. Eric says measure 12 volt and 5 volt. I would love to if I knew where those were. Wipe the SD card with 100% wipe format. Yeah, I just formatted it in Windows as FAT32, so I don't know. The blue SCSI, like the log file works. The blue SCSI writes a log file saying that it found the disk image and it's applied to the right place. I think I'm gonna try the external power. My guess is that maybe this diode has too much voltage drop across it. That might be the issue. So let me see if I can find a micro USB cable. I think I've got one right down here. Right down under my desk. I think that's where it ended up landing. It goes up to above my desk. Where is it? Are you micro? No, it's USB-C. For once in my life, I'm not trying to find a USB-C cable. Hang on. Worst case scenario, I can steal Worst case scenario, I can steal this one from my A camera. As a long micro USB cable. But I'm gonna go plug that in. I've got a power strip on the floor with like 3 dedicated 1 amp USB power thingies, which is super nice, super handy. Plug this in here. There we go. Blue SCSI has power. Plug the blue SCSI in. Maybe the computer needs one of those Excedrin. Yeah, exactly. We'll just feed it an Excedrin. It'll be fine. External power issue. Yeah, I bet that diode has too much voltage drop across it. Okay, so this is Garth's image, which is apparently boring. So let's see what Garth put on here to show to the class. Oh no! It has a bomb! That is completely frozen up. No mouse control at all. I don't doubt that the power supply is iffy, because like I said, the only things I've done to this thing are reflow the analog board. I have not recapped this thing at all either. So like, it would make sense. It would make sense if that was what was going on. So let's see, what does 1-bit have for a hard drive image? Yes, oh my god, Dropbox, just download the thing, for crying out loud. There we go. Come on, SD card reader. There we go. Okay. Image number 2. Drop that on there. It's going to take a bit to copy. It's not the fastest SD card in the world. I figure it's probably fine for a Mac Plus. It doesn't need a blazing fast SD card, but copying 1 GB images over to it is pretty pokey. Got a bunch of windows in front of chat. What is chat saying? Goes blank, goes back to gray, gives you blinking floppy. Usually means it's trying to read the image and then failing. Yeah. Yeah, I figured it probably was... I figured it was probably going blank to read the floppy. I do need to test the power supply and see how it is, because this is almost 40 years old? Almost 40 years old. And it's, as far as I know, it is all original capacitors and stuff here on the analog board, so it's probably not having a nice time. I'm so glad everyone else got that joke. Wonderful, yes. Garth set me up the bomb. Trust 1-bit for 1-bit macking. Okay, I believe it is copied onto the disk. Well, let's eject it. There we go. And I did not, Chris, I did not use a 1N4001 because honestly, like trying to find any definitive answer online, like what kind of diode to use, there's a lot of people who just say, it doesn't matter, just use whatever diode. So I did. And it's come back to bite me. I just used whatever diode. I used these. NTE 507s. Silicon fast recovery diodes. Rated for 50 volts, 1 amp. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's not rated for enough. I don't know. Again, I was trying to find like definitive answers on what diode to use, and there were no good answers. So I just used whatever. A diode is a diode, right? Apparently not. Okay. Blue SCSI is powered. It has blinking lighted. Here we go. I also need to get to my PO box because I have an external floppy drive for this waiting for me in my PO box. I've never had an external floppy drive for a Mac. I really wanted one for this one because that was like the way you used it back in the day before you had a floppy drive or before you had a hard drive. There we go. We're booting. This is System 6, so much faster boot. Hey, look at that! We've got a system. We have got a system. Oh no! About the Finder and bomb. Oh, I bet it's that diode. I bet I screwed something up on that diode. Yeah, she doesn't want to reboot either. I don't have my programmer switches installed, so I can't just reset it. See, on a warm reboot, it's fine. It doesn't sit there and self-test for like however long. Yes, let's blame Steve. It's definitely Steve's fault. It's definitely not my old Mac. Eric says, I'm pretty sure you test on pins from the external drive port. Okay. I don't know what pins, but I can probably look that up somewhere. Let's see what we've got here. Apparently we can't do about this Finder, because that just makes it crash. It's probably... I bet Eric's not wrong. I bet it is low voltage from the power supply. Is it having trouble using SCSI and, like, touching all the RAM and stuff? So what is even on here? I can't even see this. Oh god. Graphics. HyperCard. The last unicorn. What is in the HyperCard folder? Oh no! Maybe it is my format. Maybe it is the format I did on the disk. Next step is to rule out your SD card. Try another full wipe yours with a specialized format utility. Alright. I think that's probably the next step, is to wipe the SD card, because it looks like this is the issue. It's not entirely. Garth says, honestly, I've never had consistent success getting OSs working on my Plus systems. I mean, there is that. If this just doesn't want to use a SCSI anything, like, that's fine. Maybe I will get an SE. Like I said, the first Mac, maybe I didn't finish that sentence, but the first Mac I ever used was, my dad bought an SE. I think it was the SE FDHD. He would take it to work. He'd leave it at his office, and he'd bring it home like 3 nights a week. And that was the first Mac I ever used. So I had the, it was the Apple design keyboard and the little wedge mouse. Those are burned into my brain as like that's what a Mac is. So like an SE, I wouldn't turn down an SE. I'm just trying to make this thing work because I've had it for so long. But if it just doesn't want to, if it's going to just be a floppy machine, that's fine. Like I said, I've got a second floppy drive for it waiting in the mail, which I've got to go get. But, yeah. So that is at least some partial success. If not a complete success. I will mess with the image on this blue SCSI and see if I can't get it into a better place. But, maybe an SE is in my future, because I really love these little black and white 1-bit Macs. They really are like they're like the quintessential Macintosh to me. That and like PowerBook Duos, because that was the other Mac we had for a long time, was a PowerBook Duo. That was a nice machine. I used that for a long time. So it was my dad's, so I played around with it a ton whenever he would have it home from the office. It's a good time. Anyway, I guess let me shut this thing down. See if it will shut down or if it'll bomb on me again. It's attempting to access the blue SCSI. I'm guessing we have hung, probably. Well, it was worth a try anyway. I'll take a look at my SD card, because it's not a terrific SD card, and like I said, I just did like a basic FAT32 format of it in Windows, so I will use what was the name of that utility it's designed to make hard drive images for the blue SCSI. I remember somebody talked about it. It's in the chat. I've seen it mentioned on Mastodon before. I'll use that this time just to format the SD card. So let's turn this thing off. Anyway, yeah, thanks for joining the stream. It's been a good time. It's a little hair-raising on my end. Try not to bend this SCSI port more than it has to be. But you can see it's locked up with the access light turned on. So yeah, it's not having a good time. It's probably my SD card. I will take a look at that. So let's say goodbyes. Will this go over smoothly? No, of course not. Anyway, it's a good stream. We made some progress. Will this ever work with the blue SCSI? Who knows? I will take another look at my SD card image, and I'll see if I can source a 4001 diode instead of this, the NTE507, because maybe the voltage drop is too far across that. And Eric, if you can send me a link to like where I'm supposed to test the voltages, I'll fire it up and get my multimeter out and test them, and see what I'm getting out of the power supply. I'm sure it's a little tired. It's almost 40 years old. I'm sure it's a little bit tired. Alright, so let's see what chat is saying. Pickle says, I added an SDL back end to last unicorn. Nice. Simple direct media layer, I'm guessing, or is it some other SDL? There's adjustments for 5 and 12 volts on the analog board. Okay, sounds good. I will take a look at those. Dave says my plus works fine running system 7.1 on a Blue SCSI. It seems right. Like I think the plus, like when you have 4 megs of RAM in it, it should be able to run all the way up to 7.1, maybe even 7.5. I think that'd probably be painful. I'm just looking to run system 6 on it, maybe 7. I really just want something that can boot a RAM disk. That's what I really want. I want to be able to put a RAM disk on this thing and then reboot and load a RAM disk. But Blue SCSI is going to be just as fast as a RAM disk. So HC says, good luck. Thank you. Never been on Mastodon. Is it good? I like it. It's definitely a different vibe than Twitter. It's a more social and racial justice focused space. Obviously, if you get on like bitbang.social, it's all retro computers. So, you know, depending on what instance you land on, it can be a very interesting experience, especially if you find an instance that really aligns with one of your interests or your hobbies. You can end up with a much more focused and rich experience that way. I like Mastodon. It's not 100% Twitter, and that's okay, because honestly, like Twitter, how many people using Twitter are like, oh god, Twitter's kind of bad, it really sucks. Like, Mastodon isn't 100% Twitter, and that's okay. Honestly, I like it for that. Garth says, thanks for a stream, you're welcome. Clarjean says, I like Mastodon. You do like Mastodon. I know you like Mastodon. Dave, great stream, Amber, thanks. You are welcome. You're welcome. Thanks for joining me on the stream today, everybody. Yeah, I'll see what I can do with the images on this and see if I can get this SD card working. I will talk to y'all later. Have a good night.